What's up, friends? It is Aaron, and welcome to our upstairs of our small little house. We have another little task to do today that I wanted to invite you along on. We're going to be staining and finishing our handrail that goes from the first floor to the second floor. There's never a handrail in the house. Really stupid. Stairs are steep. It's a super old house. It was built in 1900, which we love that character, but with that character comes some fun quirks. So, just to get into it a little bit, we're going to be going ahead and staining it with this Polyurethane premium wood stain, American walnut interior. So that'll look really sharp. There'll be some visuals of the actual stair treads that you can see, and we stain them in the exact same thing so it'll match. And then we'll be finishing it with this bullseye clear shellac, so we can keep that color. Nice and vibrant. We're not going to mess it up with anything or any other sealer or finishing. Probably just a good FYI with any of these videos. You know, I do my best to make sure that things are accurate and right, but this isn't my day job, so I'm sure I'm gonna mess stuff up, but doing the best I can. But anyways, before we can get started staining, we gotta do a little bit of sanding to make sure that our hand railing looks really nice in the fitment that we have it, and it also just make sure there's no edges or anything that folks are gonna get cut on. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And just to give some more information about what you all might need, you know, some sort of drill depending on where you're at with your handrail. Mine is installed, so you need to uninstall it. We got our nice stain right here. We got our finisher. We got this brush to apply the stain. We got another brush to apply the sealer, and then a sanding sponge. Because especially on this sealer one, you're going to want to just the lightest sand you can imagine. Get that taken care of. So there's some information. Also, the reason I am up here is because it's too humid outside to go ahead and do this for the stain to actually set well. So that's why I'm inside. So if you are inside in a small space, make sure you have air moving and some ventilation, you know, so you don't get in trouble, don't get lightheaded. So then just for a little interesting view here, you can see the hand railing on the right, just the raw, I believe it's just pine, nothing crazy. But then we go down our cool stairs. We watch our head on this all the time, but you can see, very excited about it. So we'll go ahead, get this taken down, and we'll get it outside and get it sanded. Alright, now I just want to make the old walk out, the old trek out to the shed, and we can get this bad boy sanded and make her look all pretty. So we'll see you in the shed. Alright, so we got a nice setup here in the shed that we can work with. We got the bottom of the railing over here. We got the top over here, and as you can see, we have some lines scribed on here. The idea behind those is we actually want to scribe those off because that's going to allow it to fit nice up against the wall, which is angled. And then here, the gist of it is really getting that point taken off, and then just making sure we don't have any loose stuff on here. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. All right, well, a little change of plans because it started to rain outside and get super humid, and we can't do that work outside. I have changed. It's a different day, fresh clothes, and we're going to finish in here. So we're going to keep sanding, then wait to stain. All right, so now that I have this all sanded, nice and smooth, how I want it, I can start getting into the stain. There's a little bit of personal preference that kind of comes into account. On this project, one, I would recommend if you do have any sort of like gloves, like rubber gloves, just keep your hands clean. I have some, I should go find them quick. But then also what you're going to actually use to apply it. I like using these. You're able to just get a nice dip and kind of go over evenly and get everything how you like it. And I'm going to do 2 coats on this because that's how I've colored the steps. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find those gloves and we'll get started. All right. So yeah, I got my gloves. So I'm going to stay all clean. I got my tools. So we can go ahead and get our stain going here. Make sure you read your instructions on the outside of the bottle. So like for this one, talking about sanding, all that good stuff. You want to make sure you stir it before you use it, just to get everything kind of going. Some say you can shake it, some say you can't shake it. So just all good things to keep in mind when you're working on your staining process. Always pays to read the instructions. So I'm just gonna go ahead and stain, get it all mixed up with my brush here. I feel like you can kind of feel when it thins out. In a good way that you'll be able to use it. Something that might happen on this that I need to be careful about is trying to reduce fingerprints as much as possible as I work my way down the piece of wood here. So, and then actually something to have handy is your rag, so that when you're ready to wipe it off, you just grab it and you can get to work. So we'll go ahead and start staining here. You can see definitely some heavy coats and a big old mess. So I'm just going to go ahead and go down the top here. Definitely want to be careful. I have this nice rug carpet painter's tape down. Painter's tape, I'm not making any sense. So I have this nice painting cloth down. I'm gonna be dripping it. We do a vinyl floor, so if it got on there, whatever. It was cheap, but still, I mean, you want to keep stuff looking nice as much as possible. So we're just going down the top just so we can do that. And we're trying to keep stuff even and smooth, making sure we're careful of any fingerprint possibilities. Also, pro tip: if you're doing this, don't tell your wife what you're doing, because you're probably gonna make a mess of stuff. So now this is not gonna be ideal, but we're gonna go ahead and tip it over so we can get the bottom here. This will be the underneath side, so that's why I'm doing it like this, so we get one more chance to look at the top, so we can fix any errors that we have made. There probably is a better setup for this out there, you know, so you don't have to be doing this stupid twisting back and forth motion, but this is what we're doing today. So I'm really trying to touch the bottom as much as possible so that any fingerprints or mess ups or anything are along. Okay. I think some good coverage, seeing some spots that I missed, so addressing those. So we're gonna go ahead and back, seeing some more things that I've missed, making all sorts of funny movements here. Alright. So we're gonna go ahead and let that sit for just a second, let the color soak in. The longer it sits, the more the color soaks in. This spot over here. And again, my goal is to keep the top as clean and as nice as possible. So we're gonna let that sit for just a couple minutes here, and I'll touch back in when that's ready. Just a couple minutes. All right, so it's been a good minute and a half or so. So we're gonna go ahead and get our nice trusty shirt here, cloth. And we're just gonna go ahead and wipe this up. And you can see it's got a really beautiful color. Trying not to touch anything or get fingerprints on there. Pretty good job sanding so it really doesn't pool too much in one area. And I'm really gonna try to keep fingerprints on the lower side as much as possible. And we'll flip it over too and make sure the cloth is a great way to move it and roll it over. So that actually came out okay. And you can take a look at it and you can see what your issues are, you know, if it's too much in one place, but really not too bad. I'm cool with what I'm seeing so far. We'll go ahead and pick you up here and I can show you what the first coat looks like. So you can see, you know, maybe over ragged it up right there, but as you can see, really the color came out pretty even, pretty smooth, which is nice. Really no complaints. It really is kind of a sharp looking color. So now this one particularly, you have to wait 2 hours to let this kind of sit and dry. So, you know, get your clock set and 2 hours later we'll touch base. All right, and we're back for coat number 2. So I got a fresh pair of gloves on. This is my original brush. What I'm gonna do is not use it at all, just in case it gets gunked up. I have a second one, so I always recommend doing that. Get our stain popped open here. Same process as last time. Nothing's changed. Try not to make a big old mess. Be smooth with it and end up with something that looks really sharp. So again, just to recap, I don't know how you're going to want to do it for your piece, but I'm mostly, touching the bottom, and really what I'm seeing, you can see some fingerprints I didn't get out, but the bottom is not as important as the top. So go ahead and get our brush ready. I put too much down last time when I was stirring it around, so this will be a little bit better, but go ahead and get started. And if you want, you can start in the middle just to give yourself somewhere to work so you're not worried about flicking it off the edges or anything. I kind of was last time just because I'm kind of close to the edge of my deal here, but getting all along the top, and then we'll look at rolling it here and getting the spots that we missed. Something that I really like about these house projects, even when I'm learning, and not quite sure what to do, is I just, I think about just stuff getting improved, taking some time, making things better, putting your mark on this. And and for me, and it might be just kind of goofy, but I really, ties in with just faith and what our family believes, and, trying to always be a little bit better, recognizing that things aren't perfect, but, taking the time to improve them and reflect on what you're working on, what you're trying to be towards. And so I just invite you, I don't know where you're at or what you're thinking about, but, this is a place where we can just be honest about some of that stuff. And I wanted to open that door while working on this handrail here. So hopefully not too weird, but just felt like I wanted to share that. So we're gonna go ahead and flip this, trying to not be dumb with it, but it's always funny with staining. It looks like a big old mess until you get a chance to, especially once you get the, your rag to wipe it up. That's when you get just a touch more here. And by touch more, I guess I meant a whole freaking glob more. My goodness, Aaron, goofball. Again, really trying to not touch too much on the top. It's really okay because the rag can help take all that stuff out. Okay, I think that's full coverage there. So we'll go ahead and roll this back to the top. Clean up all of our marks, runs, just kind of wipe them out a little bit. Yes, that's where that. And I'm sure there's better tutorials out there, but some of this stuff is just, they're not specific enough or what. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and let this chill for just a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And really, this should end up making it kind of a nice color that's really gonna match that staircase and make it look really sharp. So I'm very excited. And actually, the fumes aren't too bad doing this. When I was doing the stair treads, I was up here and had all the windows open and everything, and it was bad, but there was so much more surface area I was trying to hit while doing that, which is kind of funny. But hey, we'll see in about a minute or two. Alrighty, and we're back just after a couple minutes here. So I'm gonna go ahead, get my rag back out. Depending on how much space you need to wipe off, you may need to go to a new rag. But this one's still pretty, there's still a lot of surface area to use on here, so I'll just go ahead and use it. But again, trying to be smooth with what we're doing here. Not too much pressure, really. We're just letting it kind of pick up, almost letting it decide what it needs to pick up. Just a nice first little wipe there. And go ahead and flip her over so we can get all this good stuff off of the bottom. Reset my rag position here. See, and even I had some fingerprints on the first run. This, I'm just doing this like this is kind of taking them out. So nothing too bad. Go ahead and flip that over again. Really, this is looking really sharp. I'm debating if it needs a third coat. I don't think so, but let me get this right off here and I can show you what I got. Yeah, again, so this is the color we got here. And I can probably overlay some video of the stairs. So you can kind of see what it'll look like, but really we did it pretty well. So we'll let this again dry for about a couple hours. And at that point, decide if we need to do another coat or if this is gonna be good to go. All right, well, that stain came out very, very nice. So now we're gonna transition over to our finish and sealer. We're probably gonna do 2 or maybe even 3 coats on this. What's nice about this is it's only 30 minutes in between. So so you know it can be a little bit quicker. And then I'm actually going to be I like using a brush for the sealer. It just, I think does a better job of coating it on and coating it evenly. Something I'm going to do is I'm probably going to only put it on this top side. Not going to worry about underneath just because people aren't really touching as much down there. I might live to regret that, but we'll see. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get this on and you can see kind of how I do it. Alright, we got that first coat on there, and something, I'm sorry, I showed you that brush. I did buy cheap brushes. Do not use a fancy brush on this. It just needs to be a good brush that can apply evenly. Get really nice shine on here. So this is after the first coat, so we'll let this dry for about a half hour or so. Come back, do a light sand, and then we can do the next one. And I apologize, I did not get the second coat and also the installation. We were blessed with our first baby here in the past week, and so I got a little distracted, but wanted to show you kind of the final look of our stair railing. We love it. If you have any questions, please let me know, and just thanks for staying tuned in for the video, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, everybody.